I Know What You Did Last Summer, the legacy sequel to, well, I Know What You Did Last Summer, is to, well, put it nicely, forgettable, but it still does have its moments, so let's talk about it. But as always, before we get started, if you're new here, my name is Erin and I talk all things movies and TV, but really mostly movies, so if you're into that sort of thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. And while you're at it, if you like my videos, hit that like button as well. And of course, if you've already seen the movie, let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments, especially if you are a diehard fan of this franchise. But without further ado, let's talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, I am a very new fan of this franchise, and by new, I mean I just watched the original movie like a couple of days ago, so I'm coming at this review and looking at this movie with a fresh pair of eyes. And for that original movie, I actually really enjoyed it. It's not the best slasher film, but it was perfect for what it was during that 90s time period, and I can see why so many people love that movie, so it did get me excited to see this one. And after watching this one, I kind of felt meh and don't really know how I feel. But in this movie, we pretty much follow the same events as the original. We have this girl named Ava and her group of friends who supposedly accidentally kill someone and decide not to tell anyone, and then 1 year later, a fisherman with a hook starts hunting them down for what they did. Jumping right into the good, and the first thing I have here is of course all the kills and chasing scenes. I thought those were really well done, and given that I am mixed on pretty much everything about this movie, this is one thing that I was not confused about at all because I thought they did a good job in this aspect of the film. This was a legacy sequel, but you could also call it a tribute to other slasher films. I mean, you could really tell that director Jennifer Caitlin Robinson loves her horror and slasher films just by the way some of these scenes played out. There were also plenty of callbacks during those scenes to previous movies in this franchise that I think diehard fans will really enjoy. She also mentioned in an interview that Jaws, which I know technically isn't a horror film, but it does have plenty of horror elements, was one of her biggest inspirations for these kill scenes. She wanted that blood and gore to be intense and horrifying, but not to the point where it puts off general audiences, because just like in Jaws, she wanted those scenes to be scary, but she also wanted the audience to have a good time and have fun during them. And that's exactly what it kind of felt like in this movie. The kills were brutal, but I was still having a lot of fun during them. If you've seen a slasher film, then you know how a lot of these scenes are probably going to end, but I still think these sequences were creative and were one of the only parts of the movie that actually made this thing feel like the 90s campy slasher movie that it was trying to be. Next up for the good is the cast. I thought everyone did a good job. All of the performances were fun, and I didn't dislike any of the characters, even though they were a little bit bland in my opinion. Our lead was Chase Sue Wonders as Ava, and I think she did a really good job. She was pretty much this movie's version of Jennifer Love Hewitt, and that's another thing. Our four main characters in this were just slight variations of the original characters in the first movie, and it's very easy to tell who is meant to be who in this one. I mean, this movie really doesn't hide it at all. But the best person in this movie was easily Madelyn Cline, in my opinion. She plays the most stereotypical Gen Z character to ever exist, and it literally feels like they just pulled her character right off of TikTok by the way she talks. And of course, that obviously came with some humor that I thought was okay for what it was. A lot of people might not like Madelyn Cline's character, and it might work for some people, but for me, I thought it was fun, and she was probably my favorite character in this movie. Moving on to the so-so, and the first thing I have here is the dialogue. Now, I don't think the dialogue was bad in this movie, but man, it did feel pretty bland in my opinion, and I don't know if it was the line delivery or the script itself. I'm gonna lean more towards the script side of things on this one. This movie just decides to tell you and not show you, so when it comes to explaining the story and a couple of plot points, it's just very exposition heavy to the point where it's kind of repeating things that it's already said and that you already know. I also think this film was trying to have what they thought was campy dialogue, and it just didn't turn out that way. way. This was one of those aspects of the film where this movie was really trying to be that 90s campy slasher movie, and it just didn't succeed at that point. Again, I don't think the dialogue was terrible, but it was one of those things that just felt weird at times. The next thing I have for the so-so are the legacy characters played by Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Now, don't get me wrong, it was really cool to see them in this movie and see them reprise their roles, but one could make the argument that this story and this plot could have happened completely without them. This has nothing to do with their individual performances because I thought they did good for what they were given, but at times during this story, it just felt like they were forced in there so this movie could have that nostalgia bait to get old fans interested and get butts in seats. I think this was more prevalent with Jennifer Love Hewitt's character Julie. I mean, she did not have much to do at all in this movie, and you could really feel this film trying to find ways to fit her into this story, but at the end of the day, she really didn't play a role in any of the major plot points in this movie. It was a little bit better with Freddie Prinze's character because his character still lives in Southport and actually has a relationship with one of the characters as their boss, so it made a little bit more sense for him to be in this movie. But for Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, she would just pop up every now and then to give advice to our main characters about how to deal with this situation, and then peace out until her next appearance or the next time she has to give advice, and then she shows up, of course, at the end of the movie. I know it's common to bring back old characters in these legacy sequels, but for this movie, it was just pure nostalgia bait in my opinion, and they could have made this movie work perfectly fine without them. And finally, getting into the bad, and the only thing I have here, and this is my biggest dislike with this movie, and that has to be the ending. As a casual fan who just recently saw the original film, that ending just doesn't work for me, and I am really curious to know what diehard fans think of that ending because I do think it will be a pretty divisive ending at the end of the day. The best way I can put this is that knowing what we know about the things that happened in the first movie, this ending just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then also in the context of this movie, it just doesn't feel earned at all because there was no build up to it throughout the movie, so it just feels random and like it came out of left field. And I hope I didn't say too much, but you get the point. I did not like the ending of this thing. But for my final thoughts, I am just completely mixed on this movie. There are moments that I really enjoyed, like the horror elements and the kills, but everything else about this thing is just bland or just straight up not good. This is a movie that tries to recreate what the first one did, but just doesn't do it as well, so I can't say that this is a movie that you need to rush out to the theaters and go see. Those are my thoughts on I Know What You Did Last Summer. Be sure to let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comments, and as always, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, get your Eazy Apparel at shopeasyapparel.com. God bless, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.